Hi, my name is Dr. Mohan Sangha, and on behalf of Scope Canada, we are going to introduce you to a young man, a soccer player, who is a very talented soccer player. He was brought up in Middle East, and he came to Canada some 15 years back. He has been playing for various leagues and clubs all across the world. We are going to introduce you to Faiz Javed Sheikh. Hello.
Oh, hi.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much. So, Fev, we have gone through your accomplishments. At very young age, you have been doing a lot of things, and you have traveled to a lot of countries, and you have been playing soccer, which is very inspirational because Scope Canada, which is social and cultural organization for in pursuit of excellence, we are promoting young talents, and you definitely fall in that category. Welcome to our show today.
Thank you.
Faiz, you are a very accomplished soccer player, and as I introduced you that you have been playing in various countries, please tell us when and how did you realize your passion for this game?
Well, first of all, thank you, Doctor, to have me on Scope Canada. First of all, it's a amazing opportunity to just be here and speak to you and directly for all the other people. In terms of my growth in my initial stages for this love for the game, they began when I was in Saudi Arabia watching the 2002 World Cup with the Brazilian Ronaldo. He had the very famous crop haircut. So I also wanted to get that haircut. So I was very inclined, just amazed by just what he was represented as a player, but also this the sheer self-expression of, you know, playing soccer or playing football. So I think it really began from there, and slowly as I grew older, my parents also used to tell me is I would always kick the ball or always had the ball in my feet. So I think it came very natural for me to love for this game, and it just took off from there on this space. So I never looked back since. Of course, when I came here to Canada, it grew even more.
Right.
Playing in different leagues here, and of course now playing at the professional level, of course, brings out more. But it all stems from that one moment in 2002 World Cup with the Brazilian Ronaldo and his famous haircut.
Great, I can understand that. And now you are a Toronto boy for last 15 years, and we'll be talking about your stints in various countries as a professional player. But before that, please tell us about your coaching. You have been coaching some young kids in Toronto. Yeah, so tell us something about that because that's something which is very noble cause.
Definitely, like I truly believe, like especially for me, being an immigrant, and being very new for this profession too. Of course, I want to give back as much as I can. Of course, because I've gone through the struggles myself. It's not an easy career to just pick up and just go through the steps. There's a system in place, and you have to know the right people. And navigating those, sometimes you get lost. So especially for young players, because there's so much information out there, sometimes you don't know how to filter what is right, what is wrong. So what I'm trying to do is, of course, coaching the kids about the technical and the game aspects of soccer or football, but also navigating them how to contact clubs or when you're speaking to an agent, what should you look for or what country are you going for, and the legal system behind it, like whether it's visas or work permits, and each league has a foreign player quota, just things that sometimes, of course, you're very in tune and very focused on the playing and the glamour of, of course, playing. We all love the game, but the other side of it, which is equally important, I would say, that's what I'm also focusing on. Just give more perspective and guidance, proper guidance, because I had guidance, but I think I grew my knowledge of the game as I went through it. I had difficult times, I also struggled through a lot of challenges. Of course, it's a different career, and such a vast career with so many moving parts, but the more I learned, and that's why I've been trying to give back and speaking to a few kids here. Now I'm looking to send one player that I've known personally through, informally contacted, like, while I was training, the parents saw me just train, and they just wanted their son to get some guidance. So I've been just helping out that kid. Now he's gonna go to Spain next year because there's more
Well,
contact. So just, uh, doing the best I can and what I can to the young players that I know and
that's really, really good on your
all
part
about.
that you are doing it for the young kids and you realize that you wanted help at that point in time in life. And you were given the help and now you're helping the community, which is a very noble cause. Since you said this about children, I remember I used to live in England and soccer was the game.
Yeah.
Well, tell me, the Canadian kids, are they as enthusiastic as the European kids? Because I know soccer is a big name in Europe for sure. But is Canadian kid per se as enthusiastic or crazy for soccer or there's a difference?
I think, of course, in Europe, sometimes soccer is almost religion for them.
Right.
But I think more recently, I've seen the game grow and grow here in Canada, especially North America. If you want to take it in terms of talent, also we have amazing players. We have that drive, especially looking forward in 2026. We're hosting the World Cup, so the craze, I think it's increasing, especially Canadian national team doing well in the Copa America, reaching the quarterfinals, almost beating Argentina, the world's best, team. So of course the craze, maybe in terms of
It's a believe.
England is, I would say, top tier,
Right.
but for Canada, we're definitely making our way into the game of football.
Oh,
So we have a few global talents as well in soccer from Canada. So it
right.
just helps the younger kids to see that as a Canadian that you can also reach the top of the game. So
Absolutely.
that's a big thing for our kids and our youth because we have now a development league as well, OPDO, and all these leagues that are helping the players guide a proper pathway for the kids. So it's good, and I love that it's growing here, and that's what I'm just looking forward to it as well
Right.
for the World Cup. Yeah.
Because I know while in Toronto you played for Malton United and Aaron Mill Soccer Club.
Yeah.
So you have been doing that. And what was your experience with these clubs in Toronto and the leagues that you played for?
With Malta United, it was one of my first clubs that I played here. I was only 13 years old at the time when I first started playing Malta United. I had Coach Peter, Coach Robert, and Coach Bill, that three of the important coaches that I still, have high regards for. They were able to help me out, see my talent and develop my game, as much as they can, providing me valuable insights, game time, playing in different positions. It really grew my game, quite a lot. And then after the 3 years in Malta United, I was able to go to Aaron Mills. And there I was met with another coach, Coach Ranjan. He became more than a coach later on for me because he was almost like a mentor. He let me play in both his teams, A team and B team, but I was playing mostly for the A team. So no, he just let me play as much as I can and let me express myself on the field. And he started putting me in different positions so that I, get the game knowledge and
Right.
really develop my game, not just become one positional player, want to be holistic in all positions and get that real experience, so once you do have a tryout or something, you're able to play different positions and you understand the game very quickly.
Right.
So because of him, Coach Ranjan, I was able to become better and better. And then eventually, once I got to a good level, I was able to go through his contacts and eventually, start the process of going abroad to, I mean, the first step was Brazil for me, which is a pretty big jump from air.
Right. So we'll definitely come to that. But since you talked about positions, we believe you play at attacking midfield position.
Yeah.
What other positions are you comfortable with?
I would prefer, attack midfield as an attack position, but I also prefer playing left wing or right wing, also very forward positions. You do have to do work a little bit going up and down.
Right.
But yeah, those are the two other positions that I can, provide value for the team.
We see that you have played in Germany, Romania, Portugal, Spain. That's quite a handful at your age. And that shows how talented you must be. Otherwise, it's not easy to be picked up by these clubs. I lived in Europe and I know how tough this selection is. So you must be so good at it, and our good wishes are with you. But tell me, for each country, I would like to know what was your experience. And for example, let's start with Germany. So, who did you play for, and what was your experience like?
Oh, Germany was my most recent team. I played for Kickert's Oberhausen, which is a good team just outside of Frankfurt. So I was there for more than a season and a half, and honestly, it was an amazing club. The coaches, the staff behind the closed doors, of course, the players that I was day to day, the camaraderie that we had was second to none. To be honest, even though I didn't speak German, but I felt very welcomed, and a lot of people were able to communicate. They of course they speak English, and the coaches do speak English, but during training time it was all in German. But I was able to navigate through that because of how welcoming they were, and of course they have a certain system of play, so I was able to adapt myself into their system and be part of it and do the best I can, provide value for them. So definitely enjoyed my time in Frankfurt and in Germany for sure.
Great. And what about Romania, Portugal, and Spain? Tell us about some of your very enjoyable moments and achievements that you had in these countries. So, what was the experience like in Spain, Portugal, and Romania, these countries
Mhm.
in particular?
Well, initially the European part of my career was initially started from Portugal. I was playing for Studio Praia, and my head coach at the time was Hugo Leal. Hugo Leal is one of the best players that I've ever played with, and again, he's my mentor as well. He played for PSG and Atletico Madrid. Really the highest of the highest levels of the game. So he was able to provide us a lot of value, a lot of insights into the game. And of course, in Portugal, each country has its own way of playing.
Right.
Portugal is much more counter-attacking, much more high-paced game, so of course, getting coached by Hugo Leal, it was amazing to have, the amount of life lessons he shared us, not just about life, but about football, but he combined both of them, and during the sessions, it would just be not just about the game, but also game about life as well. So, a lot of value to be taken from Hugo, especially when he was here in Canada as well. Like he's met my parents and my mom as well, So a very close mentor relationship that I've able to develop with him. So I'm quite happy about that as well. I still do keep in touch with him. From that, I was able to go from after playing a year and a half in Portugal, I was able to go to Spain. So in Spain, I first had our contract with CD Covadonga, and there's a coach of Jubel. So he really helped me understand the Spanish game of how they play. It was all about possession. It was all about keeping the ball. It was very team effort, sort of navigating it to the games. A lot of it more about possession compared to where it was Portugal. It was more of counter attacking. So each country, like I said, had its own way of playing and it's had their own mentality of playing. So adapting to that, that took me a little bit of time. It was a bit of a challenge because I didn't understand the language. But that's what happens sometimes is that, as you have been playing in different countries, sometimes it becomes less about the language of actual speaking, it becomes the language of the game. So once you understand the game, the language has no barrier anymore.
Perfect.
So, that's what I was able to learn from my first stint in Brazil, but then now I'm able to implement that in Spain. So the system how I was able to play, it took me a month or two,
Right.
but I was able to get back into it again because of the help of the teammates, my coaches, and the staff that was working around in Spain as well. I couldn't ask for more really. Like it was such a homely atmosphere for me. And from then, after 3 years in playing in Covadonga, I was able to go to Romania,
Right.
where I was playing for Progreso Bucharest. And my coach at the time was Andrei Russo. He's also I also became a mentor, also a coach and an agent for me as well. So I think I'm able to develop good relationships with a lot of teams and a lot of coaches as well. But specifically, Andrei, he was he even picked me up from the airport. He was able to really make me feel at home in Bucharest because especially in Romania, not many people do speak English.
Right.
So it was more of an adjustment I had to do. But in Romania, again, we were able to, find a way. I was able to get well with the teammates and play the game that we were playing. Romania was much more aggressive while playing.
Right.
We were very aggressive in terms of the game, quite a few fights as well, but that's part of the game, so yeah, I think each country helped me learn a new lesson, which culminates into one big thing for myself. So,
Wow.
I was able to win the league in Spain. Was able to win the league again in Romania as well. So, multiple different achievements. But I think the biggest achievement was the relationships I was able to make with different people, different cultures, understanding food, understanding how they do their day to day life. So, which was very nice for me to see and experience. Like
Wonderful.
gave me a lot of value. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So you talked about cultures, you talked about mentalities, you talked about language has no meaning when it comes to the games. That's very mature and that's very nice comment from a 26-year-old. Having said that, tell me, since you said all this, how did you get along with your teammates, for example? You said the Romanians are a little more aggressive as compared to others, but I'm sure that's in a positive sense.
Yeah.
But talking about socio-cultural activities and other things besides your game, living in that particular country or countries that you lived in, what was your experience overall in the country? Did you ever face any kind of discrimination? Did you find that you were always very comfortable? What about your teammates? Did they make you comfortable everywhere, or did you have to make your way through?
I understand your point where you're saying, in terms of getting along with teammates, I don't think I ever had an issue.
You never had a
That's the beauty of the game as well. Like everywhere I went was very welcoming. They were not aware of of course, they were aware of my differences of background and culture and language.
but no, that no talented you are.
Oh, no, yeah. That came first. So,
Yeah.
I never really had a difficult moment with my teammates we would go out, they would take me out to restaurants or for like local restaurants to help me understand local food, which was the easiest way for me to just get the understanding of the culture. Because a lot of things come within just food as well. I would take it very cultural, it gives you the real essence of the culture.
True.
While in Romania, they had different types of food. In Spain, they had a different way of how they would eat certain types of food. Just it brings out the culture. It becomes less of a barrier between you and them. And, where at the end of the day, it becomes just one team and one group. So really, I never had any issues or anything.
Great.
And yeah, and I was able to give them as well a different perspective, especially from Canada,
Right.
or from being raised in Saudi Arabia, being born Indian. So there was a lot of mixtures for them, and they were quite curious. Like they wanted to know more about the different types of cultures that they haven't experienced. So we both had a lot of things to share. So
I think that's a very positive
yeah,
thing that when various people from the same kind of backgrounds, whether athletics or any other field, when they get together, they try to learn from each other
yeah,
in a positive manner. I think that's a very, very positive thing to do in life. Having said that, you talked about how amicable you were and how acceptable you were, and I'm sure I can see you are soft at heart. You must be very
yeah.
tough in your stamina. You are definitely very calculative, I'm sure, in your field when you do the game, and at the same time you're so savvy and down to earth person. So I can imagine how easy it must be for you to get along with your other friends. But tell me, what do you think are the biggest strengths that you have, and any weaknesses if you want to talk about?
I think my biggest strength for me would be the mindset.
Right.
I think for me, if especially more specific to soccer, mindset, if you don't have the mindset and if you don't have that discipline within your own mind, you're not going to have discipline or you're not going to be able to achieve different sort of aspects different disciplines in your other life or in the other aspects of your life, should I say. Being positive and, being open-minded enough to understand some when you're wrong, also being open to understand when you don't know anything, being able to be open to receive answers as well. I think for me, for myself, that's always been the first thing, my mindset, right? Being tough in your mind because you're going to be faced with a lot of challenges in your life off the field, on the field. And how can you navigate that and how quickly you can navigate that? So it really stems from your mind first.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You said that mindset.
Yeah.
That's very, very important in life. And although you told us about this particular quality as your strength, but do you think, what do you think is the greatest quality of a soccer player? What should it be apart from the mindset?
I think I would say two things. Soccer player should be technical skills and game IQ. Technical skills would be your first touch on the ball, being able to pass the ball in different scenarios, using both feet, trying to, can you shoot from long distance, short distance, being able to do the basics well, not necessarily exponentially well, but doing the basics right every single time. That's technical skills. And game IQ would be understanding the game. Being able to understand the game faster than your opponent gives you that competitive edge. If you're able to be one step ahead or two steps ahead, sometimes you don't sometimes have to run loads. You don't have to be insane stamina. If you're just able to understand before what the opponent is, trying to do, you're able to read him. And if you're able to go two steps ahead of him, but you're gonna go far in this career. So those two qualities I think are very, very important.
Very important.
Technical skills and game IQ. Yeah.
Fez, we are coming to almost the last question of this interview. I would like to know from you, where do you see yourself in, let's say, 5 years from today?
Well, I'm looking 5 years from now. I really want to be able to play in the first division. I also want to be able to play for the Canadian national team and represent Canada at the highest, level of the game. But also along from that, apart from football, I also want to be able to do a lot more for my community and my people and the young players that are coming up right now because more than anything, they need guidance. They need a proper pathway. They need to be able to understand what is going on and being able to navigate that, especially for kids and parents, because even for parents, it's quite difficult because their, their child wants to become a soccer player or wants to go into this sport, but they don't know how to go about it. And it's like they will trust anyone with whatever they are saying rather than actually getting the proper guidance.
Absolutely.
So I want to be able to do that for a lot of young players and the parents who go along with it, including my parents who are also, of course, navigating it while I was young as well. So I understand even the parents' perspective of things. But also, third, I would say would also be just being able to provide value for the community. I think having more positive role models, being able to, for the kids or anyone, like not necessarily if they're in business or if they're in different sort of professions, being able to see someone doing something positive and being able to give back to the community. I think I want to do as much as I can for that. And regardless of the platform, I just want to do it from the bottom of my heart, because I understand the struggle and you don't want to see other people struggle. You want to be able to give value as much as you can. And, any words you can say to them, and no matter what it is, if it helps them, that's all you need, really. So that's what I'm seeing myself in
Wonderful.
5 years.
That was so very nice to know from you. And we wish you all the best. And we have no doubts that you would be doing wonderfully well. And from Scoop Canada, our best wishes are with you. And we are so glad to have you here with us because you're not only a very good soccer player, you also have a fantastic bent of mind and you have philanthropic qualities and you want to give back to the community. You understand what struggles did you have and you want to do that for the children both in Toronto as well as across the world.
Yeah.
And now also, I believe you are proceeding for another stint in another country.
Yeah.
So, on behalf of Scope Canada, my best wishes are with you.
Right.
So that was our guest, Faiz Sheikh, this evening. You heard all the points of view that he had as far as the soccer is concerned. A young man, 26 years old, going places already, will go places. We have no doubts, and our wishes are with him. This was an episode of Scope Canada. We hope to bring some more episodes for you in future, because our motto is to promote young talents. Thank you.